Hello, welcome to the Literacy Sphere. I'm Oleanda Yuba, your distinct elocutionist. Today's video is in response to one of my subscribers, Petowski Space, who requested a video on intonation. I hope you're watching right now, and I believe you'll find this lesson quite exciting. In today's video, we will be learning intonation. What is intonation? We'll get to find out shortly. But before then, if you are new here, please note that in this channel, we talk about everything diction, public speaking, vocabulary building, grammar, and overall personal development. And if you are a returning subscriber, you are warmly welcome. All right, let's dive into what we have for today. Today, we're going to learn about intonation. What is intonation in English? What is intonation? It's an interesting topic, and it's one that so many people get excited to hear about. It's equally an aspect of the spoken English which a lot of people get wrong. And so today I'm super excited to share with you all about intonation or intonation patterns in English. In English, we have two main types of intonation: the rising intonation and the falling intonation. The rising intonation and the falling intonation. There's also a third one called the full rise intonation, which is derived from the falling intonation and the rising intonation. We'll get to talk about all these kinds of intonation as we proceed. But before we go into that, let's find out what intonation is. Intonation simply means the rise and fall of the pitch of the voice when you speak. We use intonation to convey emotion while speaking. It helps us to speak with clarity. It helps our listener to get a better understanding of our speech when we speak. The rise and fall of the voice when we speak. And now the two major types of intonation are the falling intonation and the rising intonation. From these two types of intonation, we derive a third one called the full rise intonation. We'll get to discuss these types of intonation as we proceed, but we will concentrate on the falling intonation and the rising intonation. Are you ready? Let's go. The falling intonation is used to express certainty or finality. Yes, it's used to express certainty or finality, and so the voice falls. It's used in statements. It's equally used in open questions. Open questions are also called WH questions. Those questions that elicit information when you ask them. For instance, you ask someone, "Where are you?" You expect some information from the person. The WH questions also begin with WH words, question words like what, where, which, who, and how. Okay? So those questions are called open questions. They require some information when you ask them. So for WH questions, we use the falling tone. You apply the falling tone at the end. We'll take some examples after now. And again, we have the falling intonation in some question tags. Your question tags are those questions where you have isn't it, didn't they, aren't you? So those questions where you have such things at the end, that's what we call question tags or tag questions. We also have the falling tone in some tag questions. Okay, some people say question tags. Those questions you have at the end of some expressions where you say, didn't you, aren't they, weren't you, shouldn't you, isn't it? Such questions are called question tags or tag questions. All right? You find the falling tone in some of those questions. You equally find the rising intonation in some tag questions. We're going to look at some examples after now. All right? Let's begin with statements. Statements. How do you apply the falling tone in statement? Let's take some examples. Your statements are simple sentences that end in a full stop. Okay? Simple statements, everyday expressions. Let's take some examples. 1. I want you to go. I want you to go. Go. Your voice drops. Go. So you don't say, I want you to go. No, your voice falls at the end. I want you to go. Number 2, I'd like to take a nap. I'd like to take a nap. Nap. The voice falls. I'd like to take a nap. Let's go to the bank. Let's go to the bank. Bank. The voice falls. Let's go to the bank. Let's go to the market. Let's go to the market. Now for markets, I'm applying word stress. That's why I stressed the first syllable. I said mar. As if I raise my voice at that point and then it falls. Okay? I am simply applying word stress. To understand word stress, please look out for the lesson on syllables and word stress. I have dropped the link in the description. All right? That lesson will help you understand all you need to know about syllables and word stress. Link in the description. All right? And final sentence example. I want you to answer me. I want you to answer me. Voice drops. Answer me. Answer me. Okay? So these are examples of simple statements. Your voice should fall at the end. No need to raise your voice at the end of such statements ending in full stops. All right, let's look at some open questions or WH questions. Remember I said they begin with question words like what, where, how, who, when, and others. So the first example, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Want, want. The voice falls. How far is it? How far is it? How far is it? The voice drops. How far is it? You don't say, how far is it? No, how far is it? Why are you sad? Why are you sad? Why are you sad? Number 4, where are you? Where are you? You, the voice falls. How old are you? How old are you? The voice falls. When would you like to leave? When would you like to leave? Leave, the voice falls. You don't need to say, when would you like to leave? No. For WH questions or open questions, the voice falls at the end. That's the right intonation to apply to such questions. Now let's look at some tag questions where we apply the falling tone. The tag questions where you apply the falling tones are tag questions that are used to express certainty, information that you're sure of, and then you're asking, you do not expect any response. So no response is expected for such questions. I'm going to use a context here. Let's say I warned a friend about taking a certain action, but she went ahead and took it anyway, and then she suffers the negative results of the action. She's seeing the repercussions of the action. And then I say, you've seen it now, haven't you? I can equally apply the second tag question. I told you, didn't I? Let me provide another context for another tag question, aren't you? For instance, someone who's supposed to be my friend happens to betray me, but she was hiding it from me. She thought I wouldn't find out, but I did find out, and I got to meet her even though she had been hiding from me. And I say to her, you're happy now, aren't you? Possibly she's seeing that I'm suffering the results of her actions. And then I tell her, you're happy now, aren't you? I don't expect any response. I'm simply helping her to understand that I know what she did. I'm expressing certainty that I know that she did something wrong. You're happy now, aren't you? So these are the different instances where we can apply the falling intonation. Remember, 1, they are used for statements. At the end of statements, your voice falls. Statements ending in full stops. Next, for open questions, questions with WH words like what, where, how, and others, your voice falls at the end of such questions. And lastly, for some tag questions where we are expressing certainty, where we do not expect any response, we use the following intonation. I hope you're enjoying the lesson so far. If you are, please let me know in the comments section and don't forget to give me a thumbs up, okay? Now we want to look at the rising intonation. Where do we use the rising intonation while speaking? Let's find out. The rising intonation is used to express doubt, uncertainty, and incompletion. Yes, doubt, uncertainty, and when you haven't finished speaking, incompletion, you haven't completed your statement, you apply the rising tone. Let's take some examples. You use the rising intonation for closed questions. Remember, for open questions, we use the falling intonation. Now, for closed questions, we use a rising intonation. And what are closed questions? They are yes, no questions. Questions that simply require a yes or no answer. Okay? We equally use the rising intonation for stating lists. We'll see some examples after now. And we also apply the rising intonation in some tag questions. For the falling intonation we applied in some tag questions, we are also going to use some example to see how we apply the rising intonation in some tag questions. Ready? Let's go. Closed questions. Let's take some examples. Are you angry? Are you angry? Voice goes up. Angry? Angry? For each of the questions, I have used red to show where your voice should rise. Are you angry? So, for such questions where you require a yes or no answer, you raise your voice at the end. Are you angry? Are you angry? Or are you angry? Number 2, can you drive? Drive. Can you drive? So you don't say, can you drive? A lot of non-native speakers make this mistake. They use the falling intonation for yes, no questions, and that is wrong. So for yes, no questions or closed questions, please use the rising intonation. All right? Let's take more examples. Is your dad at home? Is your dad at home? Home, home. Not is your dad at home. A lot of non-native speakers will say, is your dad at home? So it's home. Is your dad at home? Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Am I to blame? Am I to blame? Am I to blame? Is there a problem? Is there a problem? In number 6, if you notice the word problem, the stress is on the first syllable because I'm applying word stress there. It's a disyllabic noun, and so I'm applying the word stress, the appropriate word stress on that word. I'm stressing the first syllable in problem, okay? Is there a problem? Is there a problem? Even though I'm applying my rising intonation for the word problem, I am still being cautious to ensure that I apply the right stress placement to that word. And so I said problem, problem. I gave prominence to pro. For a deeper understanding of syllables and word stress, please check the link in the description box. A next example for yes-no questions: should I buy some cucumbers? Should I buy some cucumbers? Cucumbers? Should I buy some cucumbers? Yes. So we apply the rising intonation at the end of that question because it requires a yes or a no. Next, let's look at how we apply the rising intonation in lists or while stating lists. Okay, let's see. Number 1, let's say I want to cook and I'm sending someone to get me some ingredients or condiments for cooking. And I say, I need some salt, onions, and tomatoes. I need some salt, onions, and tomatoes. What did you notice? Salt, comma, onions, comma, tomatoes, fall. So actually, in this sentence, we have the full rise intonation. Okay, so this is where the full rise intonation comes in, although we have the rise first. So we can say rise, fall intonation if you like. Okay, in the same sentence, you have both the rising intonation and the falling intonation. But please note that where you have the comma in a sentence stating lists, apply the rising intonation. And then at the end, you apply the falling intonation. Is that clear? Good. So note that for stating lists, you apply the rising intonation in places where you have the comma, and then you apply the falling intonation at the end. Number 2, I traveled to Italy, France, and Portugal. I traveled to Italy, France, and Portugal. Italy, comma, France, comma, Portugal, fall. Of course, we know that while speaking, we cannot indicate verbally where we have the commas. And so we use the rising intonation to show that. Okay? I traveled to Italy, France, and Portugal. Next, the names are John, Peter, Andrew, and Sam. Sentence number 4, the colors are red, purple, blue, and brown. The colors are red, purple, blue, and brown. Number 5, they were shouting, cursing, and swearing. They were shouting, cursing, and swearing. Number 6, get me my phone, purse, and bag. Get me my phone, purse, and bag. So in these sentences, we apply the rising intonation at the point where we have the commas before the and then finally our voice falls with the last word. Okay, so we can call this pattern the full rise intonation pattern if you like. Let's see where we can apply the rising intonation for tag questions. Okay, let's see. The rising intonation can be applied to some tag questions where we express uncertainty. Okay, where we are unsure of the situation, and in that case, a response is expected. You remember the questions? Haven't you? Didn't I? Aren't you? Isn't it? These are all tag question examples. Now, let's look at some contexts where you can apply the rising intonation to some tag questions. All right? We are going to use the same question examples we used earlier. But now I'm going to provide different contexts. Okay? Number 1, let's say you send your secretary to get you a file from your office and she goes, but after some time she comes back and says, "Sir or madam, I couldn't find it." And you say, "Please go back, check in the 3rd drawer." And she goes back and you hear the sound of the drawer opening and closing and you call out, "You've seen it now, haven't you? Haven't you? You've seen it now, haven't you?" And she says, "Oh, yes, sir," or "Yes, madam, I've seen it." Haven't you? You're expecting a response. And so you use the rising tone there. Haven't you? Remember, when we were discussing the falling tone, we didn't use a rising tone for that tag question or question tag. We said, haven't you? Now we're saying, haven't you? Haven't you? Okay? So for such questions where you expect a response, you apply the rising intonation. Number 2, here's another context. You arrive at the office and your secretary tells you, "Sir or madam, you have an 8 o'clock meeting." And you say, "Meeting? 8 o'clock? How come?" And she says, "Sir, it was scheduled already. I scheduled it yesterday." And then you say, "But I told you I wouldn't be in the office today. I told you, didn't I?" And then your secretary says, "Oh, sir, I don't think you told me. I'm afraid you didn't tell me. I'm sorry, but you didn't tell me." Say, "Oh, okay. Please reschedule the meeting. I wouldn't be in the office today. I have a flight to catch." Say, "I told you, didn't I? Didn't I?" Rising intonation. And for the third context, You get back from work and you meet your little 5-year-old daughter crying. And you say, "Oh, darling, what's wrong?" She said, "I asked Mom for the cake and she refused. She said I couldn't have the cake." And you say, "Oh, sweetheart, did you ask Mommy why she didn't let you have the cake?" And she said, I should finish my homework." I said, "Oh, darling, have you finished your homework?" She said, "I'm still on it." I said, "Okay, darling, please go, complete your homework and come to Daddy, and Daddy is going to give you the cake." "Okay, Daddy," and she runs off. And then after some minutes, she comes back. I said, "Daddy, I'm done." And you check, and she's done. And then you hand her the cake. And you see how excited she is. And you say, "You're happy now, aren't you?" Say, "Yes, I am, Daddy." And what do you say to Daddy? "Thank you, Daddy. Thanks a lot, Daddy. Thanks a million, Daddy." So you're happy now, aren't you? You're expecting a response. So we have applied the rising intonation to these question tags depending on the context. Meanwhile, did you notice something with these question tags? There is a fall of the voice just before the question tag, okay? You've seen it now. You've seen it now, haven't you? I told you, didn't I? You're happy now, aren't you? So we can say there's a full rise intonation. Now, have you seen all the different intonation patterns play out in our discussion? The falling intonation, the rising intonation, and the full rise intonation, which is derived from the other two. Now, there's one more place where you apply the full rise intonation. When you haven't finished speaking, let's say you're making a statement and the sentence is such that it's in two parts. You have a comma or whatever punctuation separating the sentences or the parts of the sentence. You apply the rising tone at that point and then the falling tone at the end. Let's take some examples. When you get there, please call me. It's a statement. But then, because this sentence has two parts, we apply the rising tone at that point where we have a short break. When you get there, please call me. When you get there, please call me. There, see? So there's a rise and then a fall. If you don't work hard, you will fail. If you don't work hard, you will fail. And finally, when Dad gets home, I'll tell him. When Dad gets home, I'll tell him. So there's a rise and then a fall. So you're applying the fall rise intonation in these instances. So do not apply the falling tone all through as if it's just a simple statement, okay? So apply your rising intonation at that point where you haven't finished speaking, and when you complete your statement, use a falling intonation. Tell me, how did you find today's lesson? Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? I always have fun teaching intonation. I enjoy teaching this lesson, and I believe you equally had fun listening to the lesson. If you did, please drop a like, share for others to learn, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you haven't done so, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Meanwhile, if you have any lesson you want me to cover, please do not hesitate to indicate in the comment section so that any video I drop, you'll be one of the first people to receive the notification and you can watch and not miss the video. All right? Quickly, I would like to mention that I have an Instagram account at TLS Diction, TLS Diction. Please follow me on Instagram. I do a lot more on Instagram. I post almost every other day on Instagram. Content on diction, public speaking, vocabulary building, grammar, and overall personal development. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook as well, TLS Diction, and TikTok at TLS Diction. If you're on LinkedIn, you'll find me at Oleander Yuba. Until we meet again, I remain Oleanda Yuba, your distinct elocutionist. Bye.